So on Sunday against Commanders, for a minute and 55 seconds, the Saints scheme, play calling, execution was fantastic until the clock got down to zero and suddenly it wasn't. I'm Tim. Let's talk Saints. So before we break down that last 2 minutes, actual minute 55 seconds on the final drive and the 2-point attempt, two plays real quick. I want to kind of call to your attention. Just put a pin in them, remember them for when we get to the end of this. But the first one is Jane Daniels' first touchdown to Terry McLaurin. They come out in a pistol formation, 12 personnel. So they have one running back, two tight ends, two receivers on the field. And the tight ends are both stacked on the left side on the line of scrimmage. The two wide receivers are wide to the offensive right. Outside receiver goes in motion. Does a couple of things. Shows them we're in man. The snap of the ball, they're going to go play action. And what they're going to do is typical. You see a man offense, a man buster, so to speak, is you're going to have crossing routes. And in this case, it's the inside wide receiver, McLaurin, and the outside tight end, who I'm not really sure which one of their tight ends it is. Doesn't really matter. I think this is dialed up all the way for McLaurin. If they get the look they want, they definitely get the look they want out of this. After the play action, that receiver that went in motion, reverse motion, he's going back to the outside at the top of your screen. They have a blocker out there, and I believe that's one of our that's our edge player who slid out when he realized what's going on. There's a lot of space up there from the line of scrimmage all the way to the back of the end zone. There's a crosser. The tight end is crossing, heading that direction, and they end up tying up about three of our defenders with all that space sitting there between. That could be a one blocker screen pass to the wide receiver. That's set up. They're definitely spotting Jane Daniels because they're worried he can tuck it and run it at any given time. And then the crossers come around. You've got a lot of space tying up 3 to 4 defenders right there, which means you're one-on-one here. McKinstry's got no help on the outside. He's trailing the whole way on the cross. Puts him in a tough position. And he hung in there close, but that was just a good pitch and catch by the offense, setting it up to where you got the one-on-one you want with your best receiver, and there was nothing on the outside. So as long as he didn't get caught up in the wash on that cross or anything happening, he had inside leverage the whole way. So there was McKinstry did all he could do just by staying with him, but there was, barring a bad pass, that was almost a gimme touchdown. Great play call, great setup. And we didn't actually play it that bad. It's just they were able, through scheme and play calling, to get the look they want. The other thing I want to bring up early in the first quarter, this is right after Haener threw the Texas route to Alvin out of the backfield, and he had the big gain across the 50. Since the preseason, we've talked about this particular play that the Saints love. It's a good play. It's a good one to get an easy pitch and catch, especially when the defense is playing soft coverage and coming hard off the edge. It's that tight end rub or chip play where the tight end just plays with the edge a little bit and then slides off for the check down. You pretty much have everybody else going downfield, but you'll normally have at some point, and in this case, it's the running back after the play action, give the quarterback another option to throw the ball to. And like I said, this is normally one of our bread and butter plays. Not so much here. We gave up some pressure on the backside. Foster Moreau, that edge kind of tied him up. I think that was Armstrong, tied him up for a second, and he's not right now in a position to take the check down. So it's a good job by them. I think they kind of snipped this one coming out. Haener is locked into Alvin coming out the backfield, but so's their one defender. And if this play would have held up like we normally run it, but it didn't. It just kind of came apart even before we got it going. This would have been the look you were looking up for. Unfortunately, by the time we get there, we've already been sacked, and there's no chance to do it. But you've got an easy pitch and catch that you wanted with the tight end wide open. The one guy that could really defend him close is jumping on Alvin, because they damn sure don't want Alvin catching the ball right there on an easy pitch and catch. And this is one of those chain movers that if you complete it, Moreau's going to get 3-4 yards and you're ahead of the chains and you keep the drive moving. Instead, you take the sack. But this is a very important part of our offense when we do run this play. It has to work when we run it. When it doesn't, it can be a total disaster. And it kind of was. But keep this one in mind, too, for when we get to that last minute, 55 seconds. Start with an inside run because I really do believe this last minute 55 was a great job of kind of running a fast 2-minute scheme. And I do mean running because we mixed in a lot of runs in here. We had a timeout in our back pocket, still one left, which gave us access to the middle of the field. We're out of timeouts and they know we have to go to the boundary or get the ball downfield. They can play this a little different on defense. Looks like they were more than willing to give up the run, going, oh, well, if they run it, we don't care. We'll tackle them. Short of the marker, clock's running. They'll eventually would have to burn the time, whatever. And I can't fault for the way they played this. I think they played it correct with a 7-point lead. You just don't want to give up a massive play over the top. That being said, I think the Saints went in with this drive going, we want to give ourselves a chance to win, but we'd like to burn the whole minute 55 seconds to do it. We do not want to give them in that offense another chance to win this game, especially since on the previous drive with the missed field goal that led to this drive starting off with this great field position, they had two wide open looking wide receivers that they couldn't hit on that if they would have, we're down 14 points and the game's basically over. So I think we said, no, we've got to figure out a way to win this game right now. And I think they came up with something that worked beautifully and was a great idea until suddenly it wasn't. And so let's get to it. And I love the inside run call here, and it was a great run. And Kendre ran the ball so well, was so explosive on some of these runs to keep the chains moving. And now Washington's got a problem because, like, now we definitely have to defend the run. They're gaining chunk yardage, and they're not burning their timeouts. I love the call here because Washington is now thinking we can't keep letting them hand it to Miller. This particular play was a 3rd and 1. So they really don't want to give up the run here. They're trying to defend the pass. They're kind of caught in the middle of the field, peeking into the backfield, I think, if you look at that defender. And you get Austin on a beautiful quick out. Ball was on time, on target, quick. Pass rush had no chance to get there and interfere with that. And he was wide open because I'm pretty sure we just saw a defensive back peeking into the backfield on that 3rd and 1 and losing sight of Austin. I love the play call here, and I love the execution, and we just kind of keep stacking up plays. Another run. Now, we had a run a little later on where they finally got tired of it, and they kind of pinched down off the edges and got in there and shut us down for a loss. But even then, you know, you were still in pretty good shape. You had worked your way down in the red zone at that point, and here you are running for another first down, and you still haven't burned that time out. And at this point, it's under a minute in the game. This is the position you want it to be. And here's how it's supposed to look. This is the reason why I showed that our play from the first half. Rattler isn't dealing with people in his face and the line kind of collapsing right away. Gives time for everything to work. Moreau got his rub or his check down, got out there. We've got 3 guys going out in the route. So initially it's looking like a 3-man route. And Washington's doing the right thing. They're playing soft. They are not giving up a touchdown on this play. So they're bending back with the soft coverage. Moreau sneaks out, and Miller's out there sitting in the flat on the 5-yard line. Now, he had dropped a check down earlier, so I don't know if we were really looking that way, but it didn't matter because on this 4th and 3, we got what we wanted. Moreau wide open, a lot of space. They were kind of okay with giving up the 3. They didn't want to give up the touchdown, so they were deep in the end zone with those 3 receivers. He's only got to take a couple of steps to get there. And he almost sneaks into the freaking end zone on this. They'd have been a little slower coming up and making a tackle. He might be able to stretch that ball across the goal line and we score. Doesn't really matter. We're able to, with some controversy, get in there, stop the clock, and get our last play off. And this one, I thought was a fantastic dialed-up play. Sort of some concepts that we saw on that really good touchdown play I showed you that Washington ran down around this area where you just got limited space and not necessarily a lot of options. Even though this was the last play of the game and we were out of timeouts at this point, Washington is still going. They could hand the ball to Kendre Miller, and the way he was running the ball, unless they want to sell out on a run stop, and I don't think they want to do that right now, they have to respect the run. So they have to play him straight up. We're throwing a guy in motion, trying to see what their coverage is. They're moving with him, so it's man, and we get the tight end rub. And actually, the tight end doesn't do the rub, the wide receiver does, but we get a rub route right there, or pick play, or whatever you want to call it. But we slow up just enough to where you get that quick pitch and catch to the outside immediately. They don't really have time to defend it as long as you pick Moreau's guy or whoever that inside receiver is. If you got to give him that step, that half step where he can get out away from getting grabbed, hit, anything that will mess with the timing of the play. And that play was able to go on time, on target. That was not a great play being drawn up, execute it well. You're down by one and you pushing all the chips in. We're all in. We're going to try to get the 2-point conversion, win the game. I was in agreement at the time. I'm in agreement more with it. If you wanted to win this game, your best opportunity was here because you just didn't want Washington to have to touch the ball again, especially if they win the coin toss to get the ball first, hitting a big play on you and winning the game. And the odds are more in their favor of hitting that big play, especially based on they had some wide open looks those last couple of drives and 2 on their very last drive that they just missed. Sooner or later, they're going to hit one of those. And if they did in overtime, game's over. Now, we were running a play, different formation, different personnel, slightly different personnel before that Washington burned a timeout on. And then we reset, we changed, and we came up with this. And let's start talking about the issues because there's a couple of them. And my biggest one, how can you have Jamal Williams on the field? Because they are not respecting the run. You just did him a huge favor right here. Not only that, though, you lined up on the left hash, which is you're indicating you're going right with this play. And so they're not truly not caring if you're going to involve any threat of the run with Jamal Williams in an inside run or trying to go right. And definitely they don't care if you hand it to him towards the boundary because that's almost a non-starter for him. There's no way he's getting in the end zone if you send him to the left side. This is just ridiculous personnel use. Ridiculous. I get technically the best person to be on the field right now is Alvin, but he was out with the injury because Alvin is a threat to both catch the ball, run it. Alvin could get a play to the short side towards that boundary with one block and beat somebody and get in the end zone. I was at the game watching this. I did not realize Jamal Williams was in the game because then I'd have been screaming we should have went for the extra point because you were set up failure from the jump on this. Next problem, and I think this is actually bigger. We send a man in motion, and if you're noticing what they're doing, that could be a zone look, but I don't think so. They're just kind of sliding down, and all they're doing is pushing their coverage down with. So they're not necessarily following Moreau in motion, the guy that's going to cover him. He just kind of slid down. Everybody slid down accordingly. They just kind of switched it off. No big deal. And you can see him shuffle around. Kind of tells you it's man-to-man. And you did nothing to try to spring somebody open at this point. I don't know what happened here, but you need a man beater. You need some type of crossing route in the middle. You need a rub. You need something. And Washington this whole time is expecting some flow to the offensive right. They start sliding with our offensive line. They're not biting on anything. They're really not sending pressure because I think they're okay with trying to get the ball in the air right now because we basically have 11 yards to try to complete a pass. And there's going to be a lot of traffic in there, and we just can't break anybody open because, again, I don't know what this was trying to accomplish. And because you didn't rub on Johnson's man, like we did on the touchdown on Moreau's man, now he's in a hand fight. and is going to wind up in a contested catch situation. It's why that rub play is so important. Our tight ends are the guys that can give you a chip, a block, get out, catch a ball, and then make something happen when they're in space already to catch it. They're capable of contested catches on occasion, but you don't want to test that theory over and over. And I definitely don't want to test that theory on one play to try to win the game. And if you don't get it, you lose the game. Everything that they tried to do here, I don't see anywhere in this where you're giving yourself a chance for success. Rattler, and you're kind of rolling out. And I don't know if he wasn't ready or if he realized the timing was off because Johnson was getting grabbed and still kind of getting grabbed a little bit by the defender. But you know, defender's got nothing to lose at this point. It's the last play of the game from the 2. They flag him for this. So, okay, we line it up again from the 1 and go again. He is not going to give up an open position right here to anybody. In fact, none of the defenders are. So now timing's off. It doesn't matter. You're trying to thread a ball in there. And just to point this out, because I saw some people talking about this. Yeah, Austin Jr. is wide open in the back of the end zone. But that's because his man realized the ball was coming in at the tight end, and he just kind of jumps the route. I think if he stays put, still think this is covered pretty good. Johnson's likely not going to be able to hold on to this ball, which he didn't. And if he stays put and stays with Austin is indeed covered. The one thing that Rattler maybe could have done right here is the pump fake and then try to thread that ball into Austin after at that point, because the play, again, we had no rub. We had no crossing routes because it'd have been lovely if Johnson would have been crossing across the formation and maybe he can break open into that back corner on the offensive left. Similar, and that's why I showed you Washington's play, similar where they got their guy open on the cross on the far side. And they were bringing no pressure. They were expecting this roll action the whole way, the way they played the defense. You might have been able to catch them with some space on the backside where that potentially could have worked because the receiver at the top was crossing down towards the bottom. So, look, it was great for a minute 55 until suddenly it wasn't with 0 time left on the clock. How you thought this was going to get you that 2-point conversion. Kind of some basic concepts. You're seeing man, you've got a cross, you need a rub, something. Get your best personnel on the field. Don't let the defense take a breather going, oh, thank God it's Williams, not Kendre Miller. We really don't have to worry about a run right here. You give it away. You just give it away with the play call. And I think the execution, even if it had been perfect on this play, I still don't think it'll work. It's disappointing the way it ended. And once I was able today to really kind of break down that final play and notice the personnel we were using and what we were trying to do against what Washington was using to try to stop it. It's just a little disheartening, and I hope it's a learning lesson for everyone involved. Whatever happened on that play, was it dialed up and run exactly like it was called? Was there supposed to be some type of audible side adjustment once they realize this man? We'll probably never know. But as called, schemed, and executed, it was just a no-win scenario that it had taken a miracle for us to get that ball in the end zone and score the 2 points. So give me a thumbs up if you're kind of feeling that, yeah, it was this close, but just kind of one bad decision on the play call as the call to go for 2 was correct, which you actually dialed up wasn't. And a little disheartening, but it is what it is. Probably a learning experience for everyone involved. Certainly hope so. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed the breakdown and kind of get how we put ourselves in the hole trying to get that play to work to gain the yardage to get in the end zone for the 2-point conversion and the win. Go ahead, drop what you think down in the comments. Let me know. If you're new here, please give me the thumbs up, hit the like, share, subscribe, and make sure you bang the notification. So hopefully if it's working correctly, you'll be notified by YouTube when we're going live or when we have new videos dropping. So we'll be seeing y'all Thursday afternoon for the live stream. And until then, I'm Tim. Peace out and who dat.